should we start from the beginning?
Yes.
Yeah, we met in the Sherman foyer, didn't we?
We did, and I was running really late because the trains had messed up.
Were you?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
I was like 2 hours late, and I had to text you.
You were 2 hours late?
Yeah, but we moved the meeting.
Oh, right, okay.
Because Brixton Tube was shut, so I had to run to Stockwell to get a train.
We talked about Dutchman, and I thought, I just remember we had quite a good thing going on straight away, didn't we?
Yeah, I think like what I liked was that you weren't kind of like set on what you wanted to do with it straight away. There were just lots of kind of ideas that you were kind of milling over, and that was really nice because it meant that we could kind of riff off a few things, and it wasn't just like, this is what it is. Like there were parameters, but
yeah. I mean, I was thinking if I could remember what was my idea and what was your idea in the show, and I generally I can't remember
not a clue
at all.
No, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah.
But it was, I think what was nice as well was that like I think we both knew in terms of like the direction you wanted to take it in stylistically.
Yeah.
Which then gave us like quite a nice base to then kind of like build on in terms of what the space was going to be and how we were going to use it.
It was like we have to embrace the poetry and the philosophical nature of the drama and the kind of cosmic scale of it and the way that it's about life and death and everything in between.
We spoke about the kind of like, you know, industrial side of the Welsh coast and what those seaside towns were like, but how we kind of like kept an element of that, but still like allowed ourselves to go into the fact that it is a ghost story and maintain kind of the romance and the magic of it outside of sandwiches.
Yeah, some of that stuff, that's in the costume design really, isn't it? Like I remember some of the early meetings we had, like when we were presenting to the company, it was like the set, the space is doing the poetry and the cosmos and the sea, and then the costumes are doing the like
reality,
social detail and all of like the information. But then actually it developed from there, didn't it?
And I quite enjoy the fact that now what we've got is we start off in a much more kind of real place, but as we track through it, it's almost like the costumes slightly go into the set world a bit more.
Yeah.
And I do think as well, like when we made the decision, I think we knew that we were always going to backdate the Dutchman visually, but I think when we made the decision to then also bring in the wives and have them as this idea of kind of the history, the Dutchman's history as well, I think that gave us something really exciting to play with from a costume point of view.
Yeah.
Just like a different level. And
I was thinking about how because the costumes start, as you said, in that everyday contemporary world, and then they develop into something much more folk influenced and ritualistic. And I was thinking about how that came about, because I remember we had been looking at like lots of contemporary references, and then you sent me some other ones, like some completely different ones. And I was on another show at the time, and I was like, oh, okay, it's great, but I'm not sure we can start there. Like, could we? And then you were like, well, is there an opportunity for us to, could we make that change on stage?
Yes.
And then I was like, oh, there's a perfect moment for that. Like, there's a bit of music where
that fits really nicely.
Yeah.
You know the piece musically inside out, so that's been really lovely, because like when I've gone like, oh, visually this would look really good, and then you're like, you've got the score in your head, so you can then go that bit that fits really well for that bit, which is really exciting. I think a lot of my references are always quite kind of dance based, So it's quite nice looking at like how we've been able to like abstract the space, because we haven't got loads of scenery and stuff. So looking at like, you know, how do you take what is essentially an empty space and populate it with bodies, with the music, and allow that to be the thing that kind of drives narrative. It's a different way than I've maybe approached, or I've seen operas be approached before.
Yeah, it's been you've put me on a learning experience, Elin.
Not allowed anything.
I've had to summon, you know, I've had to sort of ask Peter Brook for guidance, and
I mean, we should always do that anyway.
We should always do that, and actually, it's been a really stimulating experience for me in the cast to have this empty space and to to look at those dance references. There was a moment the other day with a cast member where they said, well, I think it sort of clicked for them, you know, like, oh, everything is in listening and understanding to what the other people on stage are saying. It's like, that's it. And that means I've had to be very disciplined about the way that we've put the thing together, and very, very kind of rigorous. Yeah. Because we've taken this decision that we're not going to solve a particular moment like with a big bit of scenery or a prop that's going to like send a particular message to the audience. It's like all in the interactions of the people and on stage, and that is, I mean, hopefully,
fingers crossed.
That's beautiful. That's what theatre should be.
We get to grips with interpersonal relationships and telling the story from a really human level, as opposed to a big operatic way. I mean, obviously there's like moments of really big drama as well, but I think that's been quite fun to find, but difficult.
What I found is that when you take that approach, it allows you to discover deeper and deeper layers in the meaning of the text and the way that the text and the music interact. And these actually incredibly subtle distinctions of meaning that suggest a whole world for that character of what they're thinking about, which might, you know, not be what they say. And sort of gradually scratching away the surface in rehearsal and covering those things.
I mean, it's textbook. It's like interrogating text in a much more like, you know, you have to delve into subtext and what isn't said so much more. And it's lovely because that's also in the music then. Yeah. But I've really enjoyed, because I haven't done as many operas, so I've really loved that, because it's what I find really interesting, like delving into like stuff with the language too.
Yeah, lots of German.
Lots of German.
I mean,
you're fluent now, right?
I'm fluent in the Flying Dutchman.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of joy about the sort of the North Wales, South Wales thing that we've got going on. Like that's been our sort of different perspectives of the coast.
Because you obviously, like, you grew up on the coast and I grew up on the coast, but at like opposite ends. Yeah. And then also like feeding into like language, like dwi ddim yn siarad Cymraeg bobl yn ystafell, Tristan's been speaking Welsh to me, but it's you know, and then you've got Jackie, who obviously is like a German tutor and a specialist, and we started like delving into like ieithoedd gwahanol, like different languages and use of language and colloquialisms, and then we were starting to talk about like the differences between like Hochdeutsch and then like colloquial German and stuff. And I love that, because obviously like I'm quite used to working bilingually, but in a lot of spaces I think people forget that that's a really normal thing. And having people speaking, like, you know, you've got Leo speaking Italian and all.
Yeah, it's an amazingly polyglot room. Yeah. And actually it's been brilliant for Welsh to be a part of that.
And oedden ni 'di meddwl amdan pan o'n i'n ysgol, because when I was in school, I did German A-level, and we were constantly translating Welsh to German. And I don't think it's a very, I don't think it's a very common linguistic jump. So I was going back into like A-level German mode.
It always strikes me, opera in English is like a big thing in England.
yeah.
You know, like, and it always strikes me, like in Cardiff, WNO, exactly what you're saying. Like, you know, we can perform in German, and then like people who speak Welsh or people who speak English, they're both getting the same, a similar experience in relation to that, and that's a sort of wonderful thing that WNO. That's a wonderful kind of opportunity for WNO. You can have all these languages going around, and it's just